Hey everyone, today I'm going to show you how I scratch built this great little tender to pull behind my live steam Mamod Loco. It all started when I found this aluminum junction box in a junk pile. I cleaned off all the paint, removed the lid, which I then cut the lid in half, removed the front part of the junction box, and then cleaned up all the cuts. This is my aluminum tender that I want to chemically color black using some aluminum black metal finish. But because aluminum oxidizes immediately, I have to clean it down with some sandpaper to rub off the oxidization and clean it off with as strong an alcohol I have, which is 80%, good enough. Do the top first. I have some 320 grit. Unfortunately, these are captive screws. I cannot take them out, so I'll just work around them. Alright, now let's brush some on. You'll see it happen immediately. It's almost like paint, but it's a chemical reaction. You'll be able to see the bubbles. Move this closer. You can see where I was able to sand more. It's gone on better. This is an exothermic reaction, so you might see some smoke coming off of it, and it does smell. There are some areas where it's not quite getting. I guess I didn't sand those off enough. Might have to retry this. Alright, there are some white spots. Mostly in the corners where I'm sure I didn't sand quite enough. Alright, let's try that again with better attention to sanding. You can see on the side I didn't sand or clean it, it just drips straight through and it does stain it a little bit, but not nearly as much as where we sanded. Alright, let that sit for a minute. Actually comes out quite nice. There are some missing spots. But it does make it look a little bit older, which is just fine with me. It's like a automatic weathering. Alright, next side. turned out pretty well. It's kind of more of a gray than a black, but again, it looks weathered. So I quite like it. Fortunately, these were steel, not aluminum, so they didn't stain. And they're captive. I cannot remove them. I could, but I don't want to completely remove them. This turned out a lot better than the top did. I don't need to do the bottom, it won't be seen. Inside again won't be seen except for just on the inside here. The bottom will be covered with a foot plate. They say you can spray a finish coat on top of it, either using oil or a spray clear coat. I do have some matte clear coat here, so I'm going to do that off camera. Here we have the results of the matte clear finish. It does look nicer. Not as gray, definitely black. Of course, I still have the missing spots, but I like it. I think it came out really nice. I had 3D printed an insert to go inside the tender to fill up more space, so that way I wouldn't have to put as much wood in there. But it did not fit, and I was fighting it every inch of the way. So I finally just got a couple pieces of black plastic, put it on the back wall and on the floor to make it nice and straight and even. And then I filled in the inside with some styrofoam to take up that missing space. Oh, yeah, put your fingers right in the glue. Wonderful idea. I didn't like the white styrofoam in there. I thought it would show through once I put the wood in. So I covered it with some leftover black plastic and superglued that in place. I cut some cedar branches to make logs for my logging trailer, and with the leftover pieces I just used a chisel and a hammer and made them into tiny little split logs. They're probably a bit too big for this scale, but it'd be way too much work to make them smaller, and I think it comes out pretty nice. Try to cover up the white styrofoam first, best I can. By jamming some of these ugly logs in there. Here I'm just removing some of the superglue strings with a small blowtorch. Okay, so this is a Mamod lumber car, and I just wanted to show something in regards to my tender. It fits in exactly. The only wiggle is from the unevenness of this board that I have it on. There's no gap there. It's hard to see. Let me turn it this way. Or there. A very small gap. Okay. But it fits in exactly. It would not ride because it would slide around. And I'm scratching them. But that's just amazing how well that fits for just a random junction box. I made a base for the tender using wooden popsicle sticks, which I then painted black to match the rest of the tender. Underneath, I also glued in 2 magnets, which were enough to hold it, but it would still slide around a little bit, so I glued on 2 more for a total of 4. Been a long time since I added decals to anything, and this is the first time I've done it with something I've designed and printed myself. It comes out okay, but I'm not a huge fan of it. I think I might take it off later. After applying the decals, I spray everything with another coat of matte clear coat. And you can see it has a bit of a reaction with the top of that decal. It starts peeling up a little bit. Just need to take this masking tape off and we'll be able to see the final product. Using the magnets underneath, I can attach it to a regular flat car, which I can then use for other things if I don't need the tender. So it's pretty useful. I can take it apart if I don't need it. I think it came out pretty well, but again, I might take those decals off. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it.